Hello, Doctor.
Hello, Doctor.
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 It's Dr. Death, actually.
I hope not.
Well, I play one on TV.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Today's episode's about Dr. Death. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everyone.
Or good afternoon.
Or good evening.
Or whenever you listen.
Or good night.
Thanks for joining us once again for the 9 millionth episode of Misty and Ike.
Yeah. It actually, I think numerically is 9 million.
999,000.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
We're shooting for 1 million.
We are. Yep.
This is a little meta, but we're going to do a podcast about a podcast.
We're going to do a podcast about a TV show based on a podcast based on a real story.
It's like a turducken of podcasting.
It is a turducken of podcast today.
We'll see you right after the snaps.
Are we ready to begin?
My name is Misty.
Come on, Ike, it's time. We would be honored if you would join us. The greatest adventure of all time.
We just became best friends, yup.
Come on, let's do it.
What are you waiting for, huh? Come on!
Doctor, I need to admit something to you.
Okay.
I don't know anything about Dr. Death.
Okay. I'll give you a basic rundown.
Okay.
The podcast network Wondery.
Oh.
Sure, you're familiar with Wondery.
Very familiar with Wondery's $300 million deal with Amazon.
Right. They started initially with true crime podcasts. Mm-hmm. And one of the first hugely popular ones that happened was called Dr. Death. Peacock, which is the NBC streaming platform, has come out with I think it's 6 or 8 part limited series based on the podcast. But the podcast is based on a real live story. It is a true crime scenario about a doctor in Texas who has been sentenced to life in prison because he maimed or killed nearly 40 patients between 2011 and 2013. Yeah.
How many?
40.
And he got away with it?
Well, no, he's in prison.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense.
37 patients out of the 37 patients that he operated on in that 2-year period, 33 of them were hurt or harmed in the process in some way.
Did he even go to school?
That's where it gets crazy. So he did. A lot of people that have been spoken to, in retrospect, have said he was brilliant, his ideas, but his actual follow through, not so great. He did get his MD license. He was a licensed physician surgeon in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really insane. So the limited series stars Josh Jackson from Dawson's Creek as Dr. Death. And then it has Christian Slater and Alec Baldwin as the 2 doctors who were the ones who caught onto this and attempted to stop all of this from happening. I've only watched the first 2 episodes of it. I did not listen to the original podcast. I will admit that.
Sure.
But it's incredibly interesting. It is a very jacked up story. Some people woke up paralyzed. Others emerged from anesthesia with permanent pain and nerve damage. 2 patients died. One from significant blood loss after the operation. The other from a stroke caused by a cut vertebral artery. One patient, who was a childhood friend of the doctor's, went in for a spinal operation with someone that he trusted. He woke up as a quadriplegic because the doctor damaged his vertebral artery.
That's a really specialized surgeon that you get to operate on your back. And he's just like, I'll do it. Okay.
So what they refer to a lot of these scenarios as are never events. Things that should never, ever, ever happen in an operating room.
Yeah.
So these injuries should never have gotten to that point. Never.
So did he get 37 different jobs or did he get multiples?
No, I think he had 3.
So he got 10 plus kills at every hospital?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So the question is,
did he get anybody right?
3 people out of the 37 were not harmed.
But
3.
But there's no record of him ever doing any besides those 40.
Yeah.
There's nobody he treated that just was fine besides the 3.
No.
That's a shitty record, bro.
Right? So how was he allowed to operate for so long, surrounded by so many people who tried to like throw their arms up in the air and be like, something's wrong here? So that's what the show focuses on. It jumps across time in each episode, of course, to show what he was like as a young man, when he was in medical school, and then later when he was a surgeon. It's very crazy because so what I've gotten through so far is that he went to college and he was kind of a partier. Like his intent was not ever to go to med school. I think he was a football player and I think he got injured and wasn't unable to play football anymore. And so at that point he was like, I think his injury is what made him start thinking about like stem cell research and things like that. And that's what got him into the medical field.
There's so much to unpack.
It's a lot.
Sorry.
It's such a crazy story.
I have so many questions.
Okay.
But I'm also on another article about the cast and how they played and portrayed all these characters. So Josh Jackson, a dear friend of mine from North Carolina, who I've worked with many times, they did not use VFX to make him younger.
Yeah.
Which is weird because...
He still kind of has a baby face.
Well, Joshua Jackson didn't rely on special effects to transform Christopher Dunch at different times in life. But then it goes on to say VFX did a digital wipe of his face during the younger scenes. So yeah, they did use VFX.
Yeah, they did.
But one thing that Jackson did in his performance was during the 3 stages of his life, he had a different walk for the character.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when he played the oldest, I'm sure he was a little slower.
And defeated.
Yeah.
So yeah, after he got hurt in football, I found this. He set out to achieve something beyond football and landed on surgery. He decided he wanted to be a neurosurgeon and was not going to let anything, including lack of skill or training, stop him. So at first he appeared to have what it took. He enrolled in the MD PhD program at the University of Tennessee at Memphis and put in dozens of hours in cancer and stem cell research. He was part of a group that founded a biopharmaceutical company, Dysgenics, which focuses on developing regenerative cell-based therapies to help with pain. He brought on 2 of his mentors in surgery as investors. He was later let go from the company over money issues.
Oh, was he also stealing?
Yeah, someone tells me. Yeah.
Maybe that's what made him disgruntled and that's why he started killing people.
I don't think he meant to kill people. That's the thing. Like I said, I'm only a couple episodes in, but it seems to me more like he's a sociopath. Like he can't recognize that he doesn't know what he's doing. Like he's not actually going in intending to kill people. It's his lack of skill and knowledge and know-how, but he can't accept the responsibility. And he just keeps saying, no, this was an accident and this is why this happened. Like it wasn't even an accident. Something happened in the body that wasn't supposed to be there or whatever.
37 times?
Yeah.
I mean, how could he even hold on to his medical malpractice insurance?
Because it all happened within 2 years. None of those suits, if anybody filed suit against him, the litigation alone would take longer than that. It happened in a 2-year time span.
I'll tell you what. If I ever need surgery, I'm going to look at somebody's records.
Absolutely,
I'm going to go,
you should.
How many people have you lost?
100%.
In fact, I'm getting ready to have dental surgery, and I'm reevaluating who's going to go in my mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apparently, he was a big drug addict when he was in college, and his substance abuse was brought to the attention of the university by an anonymous complaint. In the podcast, they talk about how he was ordered by the university to take a drug test and somehow managed to avoid taking it. So then he was sent to a program for impaired physicians and still allowed to complete his surgical training.
What?
Yeah. So years later, the Dallas District Attorney's Office would discover through a search of hospital records that although a typical neurosurgery resident completes about 1,000 operations, he had done less than 100. So to get your MD's license, you do about 1,000 operations as a neurosurgeon.
Yeah, he's just
he did less than 100. Yeah.
Who let this guy get his license? The blood is on that person's
College,
hands.
yeah.
What college did he go to?
The University of Tennessee at Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So following his training, he settled in Dallas, joining a place called the Minimally Invasive Spine Institute in Plano as a practicing physician. This position also granted him operating privileges at Baylor Regional Medical Center. That's not a small hospital. Like that's a well-known hospital.
Yeah.
There, other surgeons quickly realized their new colleague was not just arrogant about his abilities, but an actual danger to his patients. A former coworker, Randall Kirby, which is played by Christian Slater, said that he watched Dunst botch a relatively simple procedure by refusing to use a scalpel to remove a disc, instead using a different instrument that caused more damage. The patient that he operated on continues to walk with a cane and lives with chronic pain. And that was just the first case.
Okay, so I've got the showrunner of Dr. Death. What he thinks the motivations were.
Okay.
This is a quote that he told Los Angeles Times. I firmly fundamentally believe that he was a product of nature nurture and the system that enabled him in terms of nature. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, he was a narcissistic sociopath, like you said, who had a great deal of natural talents. That narcissistic sociopath was nurtured, I believe, by his upbringing, which sort of fanned the flames of that need to be the best at whatever he does via football or wrestling or research and surgery. He said he believes Dunst, I don't know how to pronounce that, felt that he was infallible, adding, if you ask me, do I believe that he was purposely maiming and murdering people? No, I do not. Now, the caveat is the man deserves to be in jail for the rest of his life.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So regardless of your intentions,
Because
if you accidentally kill 37 people,
Yeah.
you're going to get the world's biggest podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dr. Henderson, who's played by Alec Baldwin, was the spine surgeon who had been called in to fix all of his mistakes. So it was Dr. Henderson and Dr. Kirby, who are the ones that filed the complaints against him that started the investigations.
Here's something else so interesting. They never interacted in real life.
Yeah.
But they put them together in the show to heighten the drama.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So for a couple of months after they, called in these complaints, the reports stopped about the messed up operations, and they thought that something had been remedied or fixed. But at the end of 2012, Dr. Kirby was called to help yet another patient who had had her vocal cords and an artery cut during a neck surgery. A surgery that he discovered had been done by the doctor at a different clinic, which means he had gotten a new job at a different clinic. The complaints had been filed and lodged, and he was fired. He had moved to another place because his license was not taken away or even suspended. So the hospital that fired him also didn't follow up correctly and do what they needed to do. So...
It just bums me out.
Yeah.
But it also makes me think of Catch Me If You Can, when Leonardo DiCaprio became a doctor and faked his way through it for a little while.
True.
I got someone... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to do this as the last thing, but if you have something more interesting. Remember earlier when we saw the picture of the billboard and we're like, who's the girl?
Yeah.
It turns out one of the main cast members' mothers is one of the most famous women in Hollywood. One of the most compelling characters in Dr. Death is Kim Morgan, Dunst, physical physician's assistant turned girlfriend, who initially turns a blind eye and flushes some drugs to his bad behavior until she realizes what he's capable of. Kim is played brilliantly by Grace Goomer.
Oh, Meryl Streep's daughter.
The daughter of the multiple...
She also has a sister who's an actress as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And celebrated sculptor Dawn Goomer.
Yeah.
Along with her famous mother, the 35-year-old actress is part of the showbiz family. Her older siblings are musician Henry Wolf Goomer and and actress Mamie
Gummer.
Thank you. And her younger sister is model and actress Louisa Jacobson.
Gummer.
Thank you. She made her on-screen debut in the 1993 film The House of the Spirits.
Gummer.
All right. Well, that's been one gummer of an episode.
There's so much more about Dr. Death, I feel like, but that's why they made like a 1,000,000-part podcast about it. There's so much to talk about and unpack.
Ooh, I wonder if when
but
people
watch it definitely on Peacock. It's real good.
And listen to it wherever you get your podcasts.
On Wondery.
And, or Amazon, because Amazon bought it.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll get special views and listens because people are searching for the actual Dr. Death and they find us instead.
I hope so.
Hey, that's why we did it.
Yep.
Happy Halloween tomorrow or the next day. Tomorrow's Food Friday.
Yeah.
And you know what that means.
Halloween candy!
Yep. Halloween candy, friends. And I'm out of words. I'm just still in shock that
Dr. Death.
Dr. Death.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.